than ever before. There are two ways of building a website. The traditional way of building, by writing code, and the other is using a website builder like Webflow or WordPress. This video applies to both groups because it's the same concept. But I will focus on writing code, as it offers more creative freedom and is generally better. So every time I say CSS, it just means styling options in website builders, and every time I say code editor, it translates as WordPress or Webflow. Before I learned how to code, I used WordPress to build websites, and I made a lot of mistakes. I kept making those mistakes even after I learned how to code. Because YouTube taught me how to use WordPress or how to write code, but no one ever taught me how to build a website, if that makes any sense. Tell me if it's relatable. You have to rewrite the entire code again, because you hate how the final website looks and function. Or you are staring at a blank page, with no idea where to start. What about your website is taking 10 seconds to load even on 4G? Or worst, your client is asking for revisions after revisions, and nothing seems to satisfy them. So here is the solution, to make the best website possible, with the least amount of effort and time. You need to do two things. Number 1, design first. I am talking proper design. Figure out who the audience is, and what problem this website will solve for them. Design also includes content. So, once you have figured out who the audience is, and what they want from your website, the right headings and powerful images will come naturally to you. Not just that, you will be able to create the right structure from the very beginning. You will know whether to use cards or not. If yes, then how many cards? How big those cards should be. Because you are now thinking in terms of what the users want, it becomes easier to help them. But design is only step 1. Step 2 is actually implementing that design. Whether you use a no-code tool or write code manually, it doesn't really matter. You just have to think and plan everything in the phase 1 itself. So, implementing those design will become a piece of cake. Just beware of the limits of those no-code tools or your own coding skill set. You don't want to design something which is a pain to implement, because most of the time, the users don't even notice the effort you put into a website. So, we will look at some neat tips and tricks that deliver superb user experience, but very easy to implement. Speaking of easy, first thing you need to do is make a repeatable design. Repeating design makes things consistent and look satisfying. Here are some examples. Another tip, break your page into sections, so you can focus on one thing at a time. First section will be the hero section. Some might say it's the most important part of the website, because an average user spends seconds deciding whether to stay or leave your website. Putting a nice and powerful heading up front will catch their attention. Coming up with the heading is easy. Your main heading should answer this question: what problem you are solving that the user currently have. Remember, the user doesn't care about you. They care about the solution you are providing. Once you got their attention, then you need to expand on that heading with a small paragraph. Ideally, 2 or 3 sentences, and add an image, video, or a product demo to complement the heading. By combining a strong heading and a paragraph with the right media, you make it very easy for the user to understand your product or service. And once they get what you are offering, you need a call to action, whether it's a learn more, sign up, or buy now button. Whatever your goal is, put it right there. Now there are 2 designs for a hero section, the 2 columns and 1 column design. 2 columns are more popular because it's easier to implement for any screen size. But you can get away with 1 column as well. Just make sure that the design works on all screens and not just on computers and laptops. Once you have a strong and engaging hero section, the next section should provide more information about your product or service. Once again, no fluff, just straight to the point. The more transparency, the better. You have someone's attention. Now you need to win their trust. So, if it's a product, explain the features and benefits. Explain the pricing and make it easier for them to choose you over the competition. Keep asking this question to yourself. What is the purpose of this section? If it's to explain something, just do that, in as simple words as you can. If it's to show off, do that in confidence. Whatever words you use, they must answer a question that a lot of your users have. To know those questions, you can talk to your users and look at your competition. Most of the time, a good heading is an offer that the competition doesn't have. Imagine a website that have this heading: unlimited downloads, unlimited fun. And the competition doesn't have any feature like that. You could also try to answer a very common question in your industry. Here is an example for a heading that is actually an answer. No ads, no privacy risks. Imagine a social media website telling this on their sign-up page. Now, if you mix headings like these with some crisp illustrations or bold images, you are golden. There are plenty of free websites out there. I am sure you will find them. But the key thing is, you haven't written a single line of code, and yet you're so far ahead in the process. Like most things, website building also follows the classic 80-20 rule. Think and plan before building the website, and save yourself from a lot of pain. I have learned this the hard way. Now coming to colors and fonts. You need at least 4 colors, including black and white. You can use variations of black and white, but don't go too far. The next 2 are your accent colors. They will be used to add a bit of character and style. Use them to design your buttons, borders, and gradients. The last part is fonts, and it's best to just stick with 1 font per website. If you have experience, then you can use 2 or maximum 3 fonts per website. But don't worry about fonts and colors. We will use CSS variables to build our website. In no-code tools, you can set them as global colors and fonts. The neat thing about variables is, later you can change them, and the results will apply to the whole website. Check it out. If you are planning to use a dark mode toggle, that will also be much easier with variables. Once we have our variables, we need to assign the same classes to the repeating design, because we don't want to write the same CSS over and over again. Speaking of writing less CSS, by using the same classes and variables, it becomes very easy to build and modify the website at any stage we want. I used to directly jump into WordPress or VS Code and start building the website from scratch with no design or content in mind. The end result was an ugly and useless website that needed to be rebuilt again. Or worst, keep adjusting colors and design till the client was satisfied. So now, I design first, with all the final content and repeatable design planned out. And once I am happy with the design and content, I open VS Code, which is the best code editor for me. Speaking of best, I promised some easy tips and tricks to deliver an exceptional user experience. So, for those of you who stayed till the end, here they are. Dynamic heading size. Flexible cards. SVG icons. Snap scrolling. Scale up or down. There you have it. The easiest and fastest way to build powerful websites. Feel free to add a tip or suggestion in the comments section, just below the like and subscribe buttons.